I did want to go ahead and I want to move on to the first part of my stream today, and that is covering some genres specifically in regards to Sponies. Combining Spider-Man and Sony, Chad, into one thing, Spony Man. Sony's Spider-Man spin-off announcements. And the first of which is for the character of Silk, Chad, although I doubt Silk will be the only Sony Spider-Man property that will be adapted for TV, chat. And this comes to us via Variety. Amazon orders multiple Marvel Sony shows, beginning with Silk Spider Society from Walking Dead alum Angela Kang. Not a big Walking Dead fan, chat, personally, but let's read on. Let's read on. Amazon's officially moving forward with multiple live-action shows based on the Marvel characters controlled by Sony, Variety's learned. The first series under the deal will be Silk Spider Society, which was developed by the Walking Dead showrunner Angela Kang, along with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Now, those two guys are incredibly talented. They've never made a bad movie yet. Kang will serve as a showrunner and executive produce on Silk as part of a new multi-year overall television deal she has signed with Amazon. Kane, Lord, and Miller are all executive producers, along with former Sony boss Amy Pascal. I do not like her. Sony Pictures Television is the studio, with Lord and Miller currently under an overall deal there. Silk Spider Society will debut domestically on MGM's Epix linear channel, followed by a global launch on Prime Video. The show is based on characters created by Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos for Marvel Comics. It follows Cindy Moon, described as a Korean-American woman bitten by the same spider that bit Peter Parker, as she escapes imprisonment and searches for her missing family on her way to becoming the superhero known as Silk. Amy Pascal, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Sony's recent live-action animated reimagining of the Spider-Man franchise has represented some of the most dynamic super storytelling in film, said Jennifer Salk, head of Amazon Studios. I put an asterisk next to some of that, but okay. Together with Angela Kang's creative vision, we couldn't be more pleased to bring Silk Spider Society, bad title by the way, to our MGM and Prime Video customers. And of course, yeah, this is following, as they brought up before, within that statement, I assume they're talking about the Tom Holland Spider films that Sony has made alongside Disney and Marvel proper with Kevin Feige. But I imagine that also includes the Venom movies, chat. Venom 1 and Venom Let There Be Carnage. And also Morbius. Can't forget about 2022's Morbius, chat. It was Morbin time for a lot of people. I have made it very clear how I feel about Sony's solo efforts. Certainly their live-action stuff. I still believe that Spider-Man the Spider-Verse, that was an anomaly. I feel like Sony had no idea what they had with that, and they just let Phil Lord and Chris Miller and the filmmakers who worked on that movie let them do whatever they wanted, and that is why it's as good as it is. Whereas the Venom movies and Morbius, obviously, and Kraven, which we're eventually getting, the animal lover Kraven the Hunter, vegan and vegetarian Kraven the Hunter, and of course Madam Web. And even before that, Chad, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, I don't feel like Sony has done a very competent job with their with the Spider-Man character when they've been in full total control, and with a lot of his side characters and supporting characters and villains. I feel like it's been an absolute mess. Listen, I can't deny the fact that the Venom movies have made a lot of money. They might be critical bombs. Commercially, they performed very, very well. And apparently they do well with audiences, Chad. I'm not part of that. I think those movies are trash. I think they represent some of the worst aspects of the superhero genre, Chad. They feel like movies of the past. They feel like late 90s, early 2000s superheroes. But I feel like there is a demographic that really appreciates those types of movies. I'm not one of them. So to hear that they are adapt now that they're like, okay, now, because the thing is, I don't know anything about Silk. Like, talk about Silk herself, because they're going to greenlight a ton of other shows, I'm sure. They got that, what was that one? El Muerto show? Like, that character who appeared in, like, 2 comic books of Spider-Man, like, 10 years ago. Like, he's getting a series, El Muerto, and, like, or El Diablo. I forget what the fuck that character's name is. And he's going to be played by a guy named Bad Bunny. And I'm just like, I don't know. These are very good decisions. But in any case, for the character of Silk, which they're calling Silk Spider Society, terrible title. I I don't know anything about her. Outside of the description, I knew that, okay, she was a prisoner and she was experimented on. I had no idea about the whole thing where she was also bit by the same spider. So did this happen immediately after the events when Peter was bit? I mean, was she kept prisoner for all this time? I mean, please let me know, Chad, if that is actually indeed the case, because I'm familiar with this character completely. And so, I'll give her a shot because I just don't know her. I have no familiarity with her. But my concern is, what's her name? Angela Kane. I don't know what her tenure was like on The Walking Dead. Was she working on the show by the 3rd season? That's when I dropped off. I gave up on The Walking Dead very early on. The series that is, TV series that is, middle of the 3rd season. Like, I just fucking hate this show. I hate these characters. No, thank you. And so, I don't know if she was already working on it or is she taking over after. Like, let me know what her tenure was like on that show. She did a good job. I'm not sure. I have a lot of confidence in Phil Lord and Chris Miller, no doubt. They're very talented producers and writers and obviously as directors, chat. I wonder how much creative control they actually have with this project. They clearly had an infinite amount of creative control with the animated Spider-Verse film because I think they were able, along with those filmmakers, do whatever they wanted, and that is the reason why it was as good as it was. But with this project, I just don't know. Amy Pascal's involved. I think she's completely incompetent as a producer. I think she and Avi Arad are some of the worst people working in the industry right now, and so that does not let me. It's just be a mixture of people of various talent levels, people who have fucking talent and have common sense, and people that have absolutely none, like Amy Pascal and Avi Arad. I don't even know if Avi Arad's involved in this. They didn't mention his name. I didn't see it. I didn't see his name, chap. But, when Spider-Man's involved, Avi Arad's not far behind, sadly. But, hearing this news, like, about the Silk character in general, I'll be like, well, I'm just surprised. Like, okay, they're doing a Spider-Man TV show. Like, I figured that will be, like, a Disney Plus, but that's not the case. And I think it might be multifaceted as to why. One, I feel like Sony feels uncomfortable with the idea of having all of their shows on Disney Plus because people are going to think of them as Disney shows, as in the MCU, where Sony's like, no, this is our own thing, and that's why they're going with like a different platform like Amazon. You're all separating all these heroes on different platforms, and that's frustrating, obviously, for us as the viewer because we got to pay for all this stuff. But all right, so there's that. I feel like that's the big reason, and the other reason is, chat. It's been coming out more and more and more that Venom really messed up a number of like Marvel proper's plans, what they want to do with Spider-Man. I feel like it's been coming out that Kevin Feige was very much against the Venom movies. Not only because they're terrible films, I mean, I agree with him, but because they had plans they wanted to use Venom and they wanted to bring in the Black Symbiote, chat, which perhaps they might now. Of Secret Wars, Spider-Man famously gets the Venom symbiote during the events of Secret Wars chats. Like, I could see that potentially happening. But I wonder, what deal behind the scenes Marvel and Sony have worked out and with the future of Spider-Man. It's like, at this point, we know that we're probably going to be getting another trilogy with Tom Holland. He's going to be involved in the MCU still, thank God. He's going to be appearing in probably the Avengers films, Kane Dynasty, and Secret Wars, whatever capacity. I'm looking forward to that. But, I kind of feel like Kevin Feige and Marvel kind of put their foot down and said, we will not let your bullshit crossing over into our stuff. Which I'm glad. The fact that Venom showed up in No Way Home, I was like, oh, here we go. But they got rid of him fucking quick. They're like, get your ass out of here. I was like, yes, that made me happy. I really like that. They kicked him, even though a little bit of him stayed around, which still doesn't make any goddamn sense. But it's magic. It's mumbo jumbo. But yeah, Again, I don't want to hold anything against this character of Silk, bring it back to, kind of the main story itself. I don't want to hold anything against this character of Silk, because I literally know nothing about her outside the description I just read. I know nothing else about what her pantheon of villains are. I don't know what her family is like. I don't even know what she's like. I just don't know. So, do I have confidence in Sony to deliver good standalone Spider-Man projects? No, I don't. I feel like they've proven that they are incapable of that, based on the leadership in place. Like Amy Pascal and Avi Arad, they are albatrosses on Spider-Man's neck. But people like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I feel like are incredibly capable of delivering that. But again, I don't know to what degree their hands have been tied. I'd be very interested to see if they produce and they direct and they write a show about the character of Silk. Sure, I'd be like, oh, good. You know, they have a proven track record, whereas Amy Pascal and Avi Arad, they do not. So, yeah, I'm mixed on so much on the character of Silk because I just don't know a lot about her. I'm not sure what it's going to be like. And Kazfei, thank you for resubscribing. 29 months of incredible support. Heart hands, Kazfei, welcome to stream. But yeah, for the future of all these standalone Spider-Man movies, I have no confidence in them. I don't know. I mean, what are they going to... I mean, Craven's been delayed like 6 or 5 months. Madam Web, I think, has been delayed. So, you know, Morbius was a disaster critically and commercially. The only one thing that they've had success at in terms of their live-action content has been Venom. You know, and this is another side. This is another aside. You know, to this day, I'm like, why, if you were Sony, if I was the head of Sony, if I was Tom Rothman, that piece of shit Tom Rothman, right, Jeff? If I was Tom Rothman, the piece of shit that works there, I would have, knowing that we were going to be bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I would have absolutely said, we're going to do a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They're going to go on their own separate adventure, taking place after the events of No Way Home. Why wouldn't you do that? People would be so excited. You know how excited people were for the return of Tobey Maguire and even Andrew Garfield, who wasn't even in any good Spider-Man movies before this one. You know, it's not his fault. But, you know, like, what a pop, like, his appearance they had in that movie, and Tobey Maguire. It's like, why wouldn't you greenlight that movie? Like, having them work together. Something goes wrong with Doctor Strange's spell. It's like, oh, shit, we got to go across the Spider-Verse ourselves, and we gotta fix this problem and battle these villains. They're so, like, why didn't you do that? You know, that's like the obvious one. It leads off of your highest grossing movie of all time. It's like, no. We're going to make a Madam Web movie. It's like, it's incompetence. Blatant incompetence. So, I don't know about this. I'm not sure. I hope the best of this character. They represent her well. But we'll see. We shall see. That's just my opinion, chat, on all this. You know, it's a lot. It's a little negative. I don't want to have to be negative, chat, but this is how I'm feeling. I don't feel like Sony has done a good job by the Spider-Man character in terms of the live-action content. I don't think they've done a good job at all, outside of when they've had to work with Disney, which has produced some excellent Spider-Man content. All the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, I think, have been at the very least very good. So, we'll see, but that's how I feel, chat. Very curious to hear your thoughts on